We need a system of required insurance as a tool to fight the tide of gun violence in this country. The insurance has to be adapted to the needs of the situation, as insurance is in almost every area. It needs to be real insurance to compensate the people who get shot and their families. Insurance designed just to hold gun owners and shooters responsible won't cut it. Whether you want more good guys with guns or to have all guns destroyed, one can get behind reducing the gun carnage in the United States. There is an overlooked tool that can make a major contribution to that goal. Hello, I'm Tom Harvey, and I believe that tool is a requirement that guns be covered by insurance that will protect victims, survivors, and all of us. A requirement for good insurance for guns should be designed around getting the benefits to persons who are injured or killed. If its purpose is serious protection to the people who need it, this will facilitate adoption and overcome many objections. This is why gun insurance should pay benefits directly to the people protected. And it should not be for the purpose of discouraging gun ownership by responsible persons. There are many kinds of mandated insurance for various activities that have been widely adopted. The persons who do the activity or own the relevant property are the ones required to have insurance. But the beneficiaries are the public or those injured. This is an important difference between insurance that is required and insurance which is voluntarily purchased. If the insurance only provides secondary benefits to victims, it is much less effective. There are a variety of needs that can be addressed by good gun insurance. Medical care is often the first. It is critical and may also be necessary for a very long time. Injured persons may not be able to work and may require replacement of lost wages. Survivors may suffer from the loss of financial support or may have to become caregivers themselves. Insurance can support education for orphans, pensions for the widowed, and death benefits. Both immediate and long-term needs are recognized by many kinds of common insurance. Long-term coverage is more important for guns than it is in other kinds of casualty situations. This is because gunshot incidents have a higher proportion of deaths than other kinds. But the non-fatal injuries often require lifetime care. Because most voluntary casualty insurance is structured as liability insurance, it is the default when most people think about requiring insurance. But liability insurance is not a good model for requiring gun insurance. It doesn't pay victims. It pays the gun owners for their legal protection. It exists primarily to protect gun owners and insurance buyers from the consequences of their actions and their guns. To get benefits, a victim has to establish legal liability on the part of a gun owner. The insurer's obligation is to defend the insured and pay only after the loss of a long legal fight. There are much better models in common use today, and they do pay victims directly. Perhaps the easiest to understand is the system for workers' compensation. This kind of insurance is required for employment nationwide and provides benefits directly to injured workers. It usually includes lifelong permanent disability and death benefits. It is an example of insurance where benefits only depend upon the needs of the beneficiary and that the injury is related to employment. While the coverage from state to state is not seamless, in practice, and in nearly every state, the majority of employment situations are covered. The development of the system began in the 19th century and achieved traction in 1917 with a Supreme Court decision concerning its constitutionality. It deals with a large number of workplace injuries, about 2.7 million a year versus about 85,000 for guns. The well-developed systems in many states for dealing with workplace injuries could easily provide coverage for gun injuries. For fatal injuries, the ratio is the reverse, with 40,000 annually for guns and about 4,000 or 5,000 per year in the workplace. Another kind of insurance that may serve as a model is automobile insurance. The ordinary kind, which is a type of liability insurance, may work in the case of cars. This is because insurers are often on opposite sides of a two-car collision and handle such a huge number of claims. They have worked out private settlement procedures intended for efficiency. The benefits of these go both to the insurers and the car drivers. Guns would be very different. No-fault and personal injury protection insurance, however, are designed to affect the injured parties. The insurance payments are directly to the injured parties and bypass liability determinations in the legal system. There is tremendous variation, but the best kinds would work well for guns. So, the good kinds of insurance pay directly to victims. This eliminates the delays and uncertainties of the legal system and has another benefit. Gun owners in many cases may be disqualified from being covered because of their own misconduct. They may even have engaged in criminal conduct. But the victim's needs still are there, and the insurance cannot pay. Insurance that pays to the victims, however, can still be effective. It's common in many kinds of commercial insurance for third parties wanting protection to demand that a business partner buy insurance that pays regardless of that partner's actions. But again, if it pays benefits for owners' legal defense, that won't help victims. In fact, the insurer's deep pockets and need to discourage other claims produces an almost insurmountable barrier for claim victims in court. This is the most serious problem with the liability insurance model. Over it all, the immediate need for medical care makes speed and certainty critical. Emergency medicine quality suffers if payment is uncertain at the time the care is needed. Attempting to repair medical conditions at a later time may be futile. Survivors may be in desperate financial condition after an incident. If they are to be protected, we need to demand gun insurance that pays victims directly, reliably, and quickly. If you support a requirement for gun insurance, please subscribe to this channel. It will increase the exposure of these videos. Then watch the next video. More importantly, support this idea out in the world. Tell your friends. Become an activist about gun insurance or about some related topic and bring gun insurance into it. Write your congressperson. Take over the dinner table. If enough people do that, we'll move toward safety and a lot of lives will be saved.